Good afternoon and welcome to the eLECtric Recap, the show where we talk about everything LEC related.
I'm MaskedSwan, your resident analyst, and I'm still wearing the same beanie from when we casted Milky yesterday. It's been a long day for me.
And I'm Milky Cereal, and I still think Misfits are a terrible team that definitely will not make
Awful.
it into playoffs.
Just awful team, never making playoffs. Maybe worse than Astralis, in there Astralis can't make playoffs.
Just absolutely atrocious. But with that, let's jump on into our first game of the day. Mad Lions against Schalke. Schalke, I'm still going to call them the God Slayers. It's been a while since they slayed down any Titans. And, well, that didn't change today.
Yeah, this early game was pretty decent from Schalke. They were able to get a few kills, but it just wasn't enough. Mad Lions always kept the gold lead of Schalke very close for a majority of this game. The Ari pick from the Mad Lions looked a bit meh for a part of this game, but really turned on halfway through. Armit became the Raid Shadow Legends raid boss of the whole map on this Scion and went at points with that Mountain Drake, Mountain Soul rather, absolutely humongous. At moments, they were only able to get down the shield. That's how tanky Oz was. Though Mad Lion decisively won this game, I don't really see how Schalke can become the Kingslayers if they're not picking Silas.
Silas? I don't want to see Silas. We don't talk about Silas. Either way, going on to our second game of the day, Astralis against Misfits. And, well, Misfits able to continue their form from last week.
Well, we got this one wrong, Milky. We both predicted Astralis to win this one.
We did! Yeah.
Misfits got ahead in this game and just never really gave Astralis an opportunity in this game. They dived Magic Felix a lot. Video on this Yone looked really strong, and actually Misfits looked really good. I'm not expecting this to continue.
No.
Misfits have always disappointed me, so I will always assume they will lose. And even with them knocking out Astralis.
We're not assuming, we know. They're just
terrible.
We
know. Yeah, absolutely. We do.
Moving on to our game 3, and this is our match of the day as well. G2 against Rogue. We knew it was going to be Poggers beforehand, and, well, Rogue didn't show up.
No, more specifically, Larson didn't show up. I think that's the more important part. It was said on broadcast. It's been known throughout the ages that Larson wants to prove himself as a beast, as a monster in the mid lane. And this was a match where he felt more like a little baby crocodile, not quite sure, going to become an apex predator for sure. Just not quite there at the moment. Caps well and truly keeping his crown in the mid lane and getting that 1v1 kill on Larson in the mid lane really decisively proved it. Caps was playing around this map beautifully, and I was honestly really impressed with how much G2 decisively took over this game in the first few minutes. By the 5 to 10 minute mark, I was already like, yep, this game's done. G2 will take it, and it was in 28 minutes, so they didn't even give Rogue an opportunity. And the only saving grace for Rogue in this game was Hans Summer Milky. He tried. He had a pretty decent game on this Caitlyn. They played the Caitlyn Morgana lane. That's definitely cool, but we haven't seen it much in the LEC.
No, just last week. One thing I do want to bring up is, in the words of Zanzara, you ban my Skarner, I ban your Azir. I can't remember if he was talking about Larson, and I do apologize for the terrible impersonation. But G2 took a different approach. They said, oh, Larson, you're this unkillable god in the mid lane. You are the, what's the word we use? The Chovy of the LEC. You don't die. Well, you know what? Take your Azir. We will camp the ever-loving bleep out of you and make you have more deaths in this one game than he's probably had in the entire season.
Probably up there. I mean, Caps well and truly showed why it just wasn't even going to be a close match. The early game for Azir against something like a Lucian can be really difficult, especially for the Azir. His farming, he can get pushed back. Azir's meant to be a lane bully, but it does take him a few levels. The fact that Caps was able to basically shut down the opportunity for Larson in the first 5 minutes really kind of set the stage for this game. And G2 took this one decisively. I think G2's the best team.
Yeah.
Rogue is probably still second.
Yeah, we were wondering before how close it was. We saw the G2 road game before and thought, wow, this was an amazing game. But this time, G2 leaving absolutely no doubts in anyone's mind. We'll move on to our game 4, SK versus Vitality. Last week, we were praising Treats and how clean SK looked. We were saying maybe they're one of the top 3 teams in the league. We were talking about Vitality. Crown Shot can't carry. Well, everything flipped around in this game 4 of the day.
Yeah, it really did a huge amount. The schemes rather looked amazing on this Skarner. Crowley really was able to carry him. Melitza, while you did have some questionable Shreema shuffles in this mid lane, Blue definitely should have died more than once. The fact that the shuffles weren't anywhere near as good, and that you weren't able to get a 1v1 kill even when Blue didn't have flash, raises some concern. But Crowney and Labrov were able to quell that concern. The shot calling was definitely on the side of Vitality in this game. And the fact that they went for a 20-minute Baron and were able to just get it without SK even being aware of what was going on. They are playing a Tristana. They are playing an Azir. They can just melt objectives. SK's vision on this game was pretty off, and a lot of them got punished pretty hard in this one. Vitality looked like strong, and I wonder, Milky, coming into this game or moving forward from this game, they've got a 2% chance in making playoffs. Maybe if they didn't have a 2% chance, and maybe if they had this roster from the beginning, they could have been a roster that could, and it's a big could, have made playoffs.
Well, there's one important thing with the word could. We have something called the summer split, which is arguably the more decisive split and the more important split. So we'll see what Vitality can do in summer split if they can't make it into playoffs here in spring. Either way, we're going to move on to our game 5 of the day. The battle for the Britons. XL versus Fnatic. And let's be honest, it wasn't really a battle as much as it was a massacre.
Yeah, XL came out with a bit of a whimper. This game was really, it felt a lot closer than it really was. This was in partly due to just Fnatic not having any form of strong team fight. They were a pick comp, they weren't looking for anything. The fight, if you wanna see a complete reason for why this game went on, or rather why it felt a lot closer than it was, go to the 23:30 mark, and just watch the fight and for how long it goes there. I can't quite remember who the casters were at the time, but they're basically going nuts because the fight lasts over a minute and a half from the very beginning to it ending. Multiple members die, come back, and it's just like Fnatic's comp will always beat XL. It's just they don't have a front line, so they're gonna have to grind this out slowly. They get it done. I've got Quickshot and Ender just wondering what's going on, so I'm going to trust my notes saying it's Quickshot and Ender, and they're just flabbergasted what was going on. XL destined the base race, remember, Milky? This was the base race one where it just felt a bit like XL doing a last-ditch attempt, and then Upset just going, oh, the minion wave with Cenerol. Oh, cool, you guys can't base race us now. We'll win. And it was a sorry affair.
It felt like a base race where it was like, on your marks, get set, go. Both teams start running, and within about a second, XL are like, no, turn around and run the other way. However, with that, we're going to move on to our Saturday's matches, kicking things off with Schalke against Astralis.
Well, Kingslayer? I don't know. This match, well and truly actually completely destroyed Astralis' chances. It was looking pretty difficult for them to make a run, obviously, with that first game loss on Friday. This lamented this as an impossible opportunity for them, though this game was awful from Schalke. Now, the reason I'm going to be a bit hard on Schalke is Schalke's a team that at the beginning of this split looked really strong. They had the pieces together. They were playing macro and micro really well. They were objective controlling. They just seemed like they had a team fight awareness to them that was above most other teams at the time. That's just gone. I would argue that this felt like two bottom teams slapping each other, trying to find the win, and the fact that Astralis almost got this one raises big concerns for Schalke moving forward for me.
Okay, strong words from MaskedSwan about Schalke. We'll see whether they can turn things up in the final week, but we'll move on now to Vitality against Excel. Excel coming in into this game after their loss to Fnatic. Vitality coming on in after a strong win against SK. And honestly, it's like the two just combined, and Excel didn't stand a chance.
So you know how I said Schalke looked like a bottom team? Well, XL also looked like a bottom team. There is well and truly a bottom four here, ladies and gentlemen. And Vitality showing that they might actually be the top crop when it comes to the bottom four. Now, obviously, I haven't mentioned the fifth bottom team because they're actually at the very, very bottom. That's Misfits, obviously, ladies and gentlemen. Like, we don't talk about them.
I mean, let's be honest. LEC isn't a 10-team league. It's a 9-team league, and then you've got Misfits under it.
Yes, obviously.
What a bunch of Misfits.
What a... Anyway, we're not gonna do a retake. We're gonna keep going on this one. And Vitality XL, well, Vitality played this really well. Like, that, credit where credit is due. Sadly, with them virtually being out of playoffs, I know I'm repeating myself there, but this was a fun game to watch, and this was a fun match in general to watch. Their strats were there. XL are on a 7-loss streak with this loss. And I think it's safe to say that with Vitality on a 2%, I feel like XL are on a virtual 2% at this point.
Now, remember, Vitality were able to beat SK in the previous day, and XL lost to Fnatic on the previous day. And then on Saturday, Fnatic played against SK. Before the week, I thought SK would actually take down Fnatic. They looked so good. But after the Friday's game, I think everyone knew how this game was going to pan out, and that's how it panned out. Fnatic able to pick up the win.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you, Milky, on both of those points. SK just always seemed to be a step behind. Blue did have a decent showing in this game. Definitely improvement from their game yesterday, but it just wasn't enough. Jezu on this Tristana pick was really sick. Genax also on the Sion, again, super sick, but it just felt like things weren't quite coming together, and it always felt like Fnatic just had a step ahead. The important thing to note is... what did Niski play in this game, Milky?
He played this thing. It's like one of the biggest EU mid picks that exists. What is it?
It's like
Fisted Tate? Is that it?
It's like cards. He uses playing cards. Twisted Fate. That's it.
Haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's like he's got an ultimate that lets him go around the map, and map control is a really important thing in EU. It's like Niski got... I can't believe it. Niski got Twisted Fate, and then it felt like this game was lost in pick and ban phase, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to say it felt like that, but even with SK being forced to match this with the Rise, it just felt like kind of... oh god, we gave them Twisted Fate. Let's throw blue at them and force him to try and match Niski in every opportunity. You've got to be matching Selfmade, not Niski, because we all know Selfmade is the shot caller, and the fact that they got Talia Renekton, even with Talia getting those nerfs, it didn't matter. The ganks came out, it was strong, and well played by Fnatic. By the way, Upset also went 10-1 and 2. Small little thing there.
Upset has been very strong over the course of the split, really. Now, we all know how much MaskedSwan loves seeing Twisted Fate, and we all know how much we dislike Misfits. Now, those two came together in our match of the day, G2 against Misfits. G2 are having the Twisted Fate. You're right there.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Misfits lost. It's okay. It's okay.
We got our prediction right, finally.
No, Milky.
No.
I mean, we got Karma top. So, I mean, I'm sad about the result, but Karma top came out, so hey, we got a Karma top. So this game went on for 35 minutes. And it felt like, if you watch this game, it was like, oh, Misfits always have a chance. They didn't have a chance, ladies and gentlemen. They were out of this game by the first, 10 minutes. The reason it felt like they had a good long shot was, one, they have Sion, who I legitimately think, I called this out 3 or 4 episodes ago. I still stand by this. Sion might be the best top lane champion at the moment, just for where the metagame is, and the fact that split control is so important, and the fact that you also just want a frontliner who can also just run at people anytime. Silent Ultimate's apparently just really good at the moment, especially with Azir falling out of meta and people not just being able to pop up a wall randomly, or Anivia either, but no one plays Anivia, so don't have to worry about that one. Yeah, this one sucked to watch because I really wanted Misfits to have a chance in this one, but it felt like it was just over. And the fact that they gave Caps Twisted Fate. Oh!
One could say that Misfits' fate was sealed.
No.
No. I got MaskedSwan to come back onto camera. Terrible puns is a way to resurrect MaskedSwan. MaskedSwan, if your family are listening, or if MaskedSwan's family is listening, if MaskedSwan is ever in an accident and he's not responding, just repeat one of my terrible puns. Don't worry.
It will probably revive me. Yeah, it probably will exhume me from my state. Reckless had a flawless game. Reckless is well and truly looking like the best AD carry in the region, and definitely putting up himself for content. What was that?
Nothing. I just had a cough.
Okay. But Reckless is definitely looking like
handsome.
Best ADC in the region because he beat Tim yesterday on Friday.
League is a team game. It's not an individual game.
No. We have Reckless and Caps on G2. This is not a team game. They're all solo queue players who are just having fun together.
Exactly. Right. Either way, we're going to move on to our talk of the town. Your hat is really having a field day today, isn't it?
Not interested. It's not interested today. Talk of the town. Let's do this.
Talk of the town. Rogue versus Mad Lions. And honestly, after our game from Friday, I thought Rogue would be in bad shape. And I thought this was it. This was going to be the point where Mad Lions would be able to take the win. And honestly, in the first 5 minutes, they looked good. Trimby got caught out time after time after time.
Yeah, this game looked really good from Mad Lions. I was like, okay, we're getting the Mad Lions of spring back of 2020. We're going to get the summer coming back. We well and truly are going to see that Rogue Mad Lions top 2 competition. G2 are in the contention. Maybe they're the best, and then we're fighting for second place. And then Fnatic, what happens with them? Oh, no, wait. The game doesn't quite end like that, Milky. They killed Trimby about 4 times. And I think before we came on for the show, you even mentioned that Trimby died 5 times. It was something like 0-5 and 5 or something.
He was 0-5 and 1 at one point.
Like, how do you come back and then end the game 0-5 and 12? The fact that Rogue did this kind of comeback is weight added to how good they are. And we all know how this game actually kind of got to this place. The fact that Rogue were able to keep the gold lead that Mad were getting, rather competitive and close throughout the whole duration of this game. Mad got the kills. The problem is the macro was there, the micro wasn't there, and Rogue had that, and they were able to keep farming effectively. They were able to rotate around, and every time it was like, ooh, the team fight's going, or Mad Lions are finding a pick. But Rogue are always trading something else on the map. But Milky, I must let you talk about the huge overthrow that came around that Baron.
It was crazy. Mad Lions looked like they had it. 4 members of Rogue.
100%.
How did it go so wrong?
I honestly, I've watched that team fight about 4 times and I still don't really understand how it. Part of it comes from Larson being an absolute god on this Orianna. Part of it just comes from Odo Wamne being an absolute tank force of nature and Raid Shadow Legends boss. I'm going to use the same joke twice. I don't care. Have you seen me casting? And when it came to this Callista as well, the team popped off. Rogue had 1 shot opportunity. They took it and then they flew with the sun. They well and truly just went above the heavens and said, "No, Mad Lions, you're all Yuumi mids. We don't care," and slapped them all. Got the W. Well played, Rogue, and well and truly deserves to be our talk of the town.
The thing for me about this game is this felt like maybe their biggest test aside from the G2 games. This was their test to show their mettle, to show their resolve, show what they're capable of. And I think one thing that we learned from this is you could definitely tell that Trimby was the rookie of the composition, making those mistakes. And arguably, I mean, obviously, this is just speculation. We don't know for certain. Yeah. But at the very least, to me, it came across as Trimby was the one who was still shaken up from the G2 game. and it was the rest of Rogue, the more experienced players from Rogue, able to keep their cool, and eventually Trimby got his call back, and then Rogue just played like how we've seen them play all split long.
Yeah, but with Trimby, I think that's a great point, because Trimby was able to at least rally himself back in the mental, even after those mistakes. He was part of that Ego Rogue roster, which we've been talking about all of its members throughout all of the things. But this is the most
Especially
successful
Zanzara.
member. Yeah, exactly. Zanzara, we get mentioned at least 3 or 4 times. Even if he has an awful week, he still gets credit given to him.
Funniest guy in the LEC.
That's how he does it.
I said this in the first episode. After that first interview, I was like, Zanzara, this guy, he's a comedic genius.
Agreed.
Rogue Mad Lions.
Agreed.
What a game to come through. So I think on that note, we should take a quick look at the standings and how the standings are looking. So finally, G2 and Rogue are separated just by 1 point. But I want to talk about that battle for 3rd place spot. Fnatic Mad Lions tied SK close on their heels.
Yeah, but at the moment, Mad Lions are the only team in that 9 and 6 bracket to actually lock themselves into playoffs. The reason for that is all of their head-to-heads are locked up in a positive state by going 2-0 over Fnatic. Allows them to be rather confident and know that they're at least making 6th place minimum for playoffs. Fnatic still need to pick up another W. That 10 to 11 win mark is normally the safe spot, though we will have to wait and see. I'm still leaning Mad Lions. They've beat Fnatic 2-0. Why can't they figure out the rest of this gauntlet? They've got a pretty reasonable spot to go, but they will have to face off versus G2.
Now, I want to look towards the bottom end of the standings, MaskedSwan, and make some predictions. Who do we think is going to miss the cut? Who is not making it to playoffs?
So Milky, how are we actually running this? Because we know who we want to get in there, but we have to still be negative about it. So how do we do this?
Are we talking about the team that isn't actually a team in the LEC? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go with that.
Okay, I've got a plan. Let me lead.
Okay, I'll follow.
Okay. Yeah. So, ladies and gents, we have 3 games left, and if you look at Astralis, they're currently sitting with 3 wins and 12 defeats. So, if they get 3 wins, they could technically jump all the way up to P6 in the standings. And Misfits are going to lose every game because they're a terrible, terrible team. I don't even know how their players are in the LEC. Yeah, Misfits aren't going to make playoffs.
All right, Misfits are making playoffs. I have to correct Milky now at this point because Astralis are actually locked out of making playoffs.
Okay, head-to-heads.
So can't make it in. Vitality are on that 2% chance because Trevor, Mr. Quick Shot Man, decided that I'll do the math and then basically said everyone 2% Vitality can't make it. So Misfits will lose to Vitality.
Yep.
On the Sunday, and it won't mean anything. Sorry, Crowny. Sorry, Hyrip, even though you're on Misfits. So, yeah, don't worry about it. Let's talk about XL for a moment, Milky, because they're on a 7-loss streak. And this British team can't find a absolute stone throw of a chance. They can't find a biscuit even if they was right in front of them.
No, and they are really struggling at the moment. But just as quickly as they went from that period where they looked so strong to that loss streak, they can turn it back. 3 game days in a row, you never know what can happen.
Never know. And that last team we have to mention are the Kingslayers themselves, Schalke.
Yep.
Do you think they'll find it?
Yes. Yes, because Misfits aren't going to be able to make it, yeah.
I mean, they also have a half-decent showing for Super Week. On Saturday, they've got Vitality, and on Sunday, they've got XL. So, hey, while they have got Fnatic, and a good showing versus Fnatic will be a great one, and hey, Kingslayers, so there's always an opportunity. If they can beat Fnatic, I think there's a good chance they can get a half-decent spot. If they can go 3-0 in the final week, hey, that's a 4-win loss streak going to playoffs, and that'll be a huge confidence boost.
Let's be honest as well. Schalke play against Vitality, Schalke play against XL. The 2 teams that they are battling with, because obviously we know Misfits aren't battling for playoffs, they're already out. The 2 teams that Schalke are battling with for that final playoff spot, they're facing in the weekend. They have the destiny in their own hands.
Yeah, it's all in their opportunity. They can figure out anything, but they have to get there. And
Yep.
I'm really worried for this roster. They've been looking rather concerning over the last few weeks, and some of their losses have been to teams we thought they'd beat. The fact that they went on a 4-loss streak, or even more, no, six loss streak over week 4 to week 6 doesn't fill me with a huge amount of hope for Schalke.
On the flip side, though, Excel. Honestly, we talked about the Schalke miracle run in summer. This would be the miracle run from Excel if they make it into playoffs. They're facing against G2 on Friday, then they're facing against Rogue, and then, okay, fine, they play against Schalke on the Sunday. It's not exactly Mad Lions or Fnatic, but still, Excel have had a super tough final 4 games coming their way.
Yeah, the 7-loss streak probably looks to continue up to it. Maybe if they lose to Schalke double digits, I wouldn't be too surprised if we see that. And sadly, I just think XL are out of this one.
With that, though, let's take a quick look at the fixtures coming through on Friday. And let's make some predictions here, MaskedSwan. First up, Rogue versus SK.
Rogue should win this one pretty decisively. SK's team fighting and coordination has kind of fallen off a little bit of the cliff, and I don't expect them to be able to come back in this one.
Moving on to our second game, then. Astralis versus Vitality. Do you think the fact that Astralis are now locked out of playoffs will mean that they might not perform as well as they previously would have?
Well, now they have nothing to lose, right? And when you're playing against a team that has nothing to lose, they can start playing really crazy stuff. They can do unorthodox things in a pick and ban phase. This is where we could see some really wild stuff from Magic Felix in this mid lane because, hey, this is the man that got 4 out of the 5 accounts that he had in the top 4 spots of solo queue in EU, and then he also had his other account being 6th place, if I remember rightly. This man can play anything and everything, and I think this is where the opportunity for Astralis to really try and flex this and allow Magic Felix to show off some cool stuff. Though I still think Crown Shot and the side of Vitality will probably pick this one up. It will probably be a fun game to watch.
I think I agree with you. I think Vitality will probably have the edge, unless, of course, Crowny forgets to pay his taxes, and then Zanzaro will be, well, he's going to be the tax collector. Let's move on then to our third game, Fnatic versus Schalke. For me here, MaskedSwan, I think this is Fnatic's game.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. I think Schalke have been in weird spots before, and normally this is where miracle runs can begin. I just don't think Fnatic are in a place, and Upset is looking like he really wants to become one of the top players in the bot lane. Whippo is getting better and better as weeks go on, as is Selfmade, and honestly, the whole side of Fnatic, they've done the very standard Fnatic thing. They look kind of meh at the beginning, and then they just get better and better as the split goes on. I imagine we'll see them regress a little bit after in the beginning of summer, but it will be the exact same story of Fnatic. They're finding and they're getting their stride now. Fnatic will win this one.
Now, I know we like to meme here, MaskedSwan, but I want to take this as a very serious discussion because I think this is a serious game. Misfits, Mad Lions. Who do we honestly think will come out on top?
Well, it's a bunny versus the lion. So Jax the Rabbit will win this one. Misfits Gaming will win. I believe in them.
I believe in them as well, but I'm actually going to sit with Mad Lions. I think Mad Lions have looked strong, and I know Misfits can be strong, but I honestly, and I'm not saying this even to reverse jinx, I think Mad Lions will be able to take the win against.
I think you're right. The reason I'm going with Misfits is they need to win one of their games, either Friday or Saturday, to have a good chance. And on the assumption they win their Sunday game versus Vitality, Misfits have to beat either Mad Lions or Fnatic, and I give them the edge slightly more against Mad Lions, as it is more of a rookie roster as opposed to Fnatic, which has just been improving and is that veteran roster. They have far more experience behind their belts. If Misfits can find it, I think it might be in the top lane. I think Hyrit might genuinely be able to go to Armored and say, hey, actually, you're not the best top laner, even in the lower standings. I have to hope Misfits can find it, because if they can't find it against Mad Lions, I don't think they'll find it against Misfits, which might mean they're out of playoffs.
Final game, Excel versus G2. Surely our predictions are on G2.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that wraps up our predictions for Friday. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the meta recap.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the meta recap of the eLECtric recap. This is the moment where I actually tell you some of the more insightful and statistical things around the LEC meta report. First things first, Ari mid, is it on the rise? No. God, no. No. We've only seen it be played in Oceania. Yeah, Oceania. By the way, if they ever want a caster, we would love to go over there. Hit us up. We Oceania casting. The ESL took it over Milky, so definitely something to hit us up for. Or over in Brazil. Keck W, don't bother playing her at the moment. She's not good enough. Unless you're Nymera. Lucian mid, though, is legitimate at the moment. I would definitely recommend people start picking this one up. It's rise throughout the global meta at the moment. We've been seeing it. It was played heavily in the last meta, even when it wasn't a much viable pick. It was seen at Worlds as well. Definitely talk about this one. Karma is in every lane, and you should be playing her in every lane, ladies and gentlemen. She's great in support. She's great as a mid laner. She's great as a top laner. You should just play her. She's good in every role. And by the way, her stats are still really good. Slight asterisk. Play Karma when you can't play Seraphine. That's the actual way you're meant to go about it. Udyr, Lilia, and Rel are still leading the charge with 100% presence in the LEC. Though Skarner has been seeing about a 50% ban rate in the LEC, but has only been picked up once. Really weird spot that the LEC is finding it. We're scared to see it, but we don't want to play it. Bit confused. This might just be partly down to jungler preference when it does come to them to actually pick their champion, and a lot of them just don't want to pick Skarner unless their coach insists on playing it. Or if you're Zanzara, then you'll always play it if you can play your Skarner boy. Last one for the statistics is Olaf has really dropped off the face of the earth in the LEC, whereas in the rest of the global metagame, he is still being absolutely played to a huge percent, even in LCS. He's played about 80%. He's dropped to about 20% presence rate in the LEC, and a lot of the junglers just don't see it. On the contrary, though, Lilia has definitely rised up in recent meta, so that's where the trade-off seems to be. A few quick notes around some of the teams that are doing really well, specifically G2, Rogue, and Fnatic. They each have the highest win rate, and they each have the highest Dragon. These teams also share the gold minute at 15, with them also being the 3 highest. And lastly, while they are tied with Mad Lions and a certain Misfit Bunny, don't know what that is, they also have the highest first tower rate. So what I'm trying to point out here is the 3 teams that are winning a lot of games, they're also typically winning the early game pretty handily. They're ahead in the gold in the early game. They're ahead. They're getting the first dragon. They're getting first turret. I know that this is an obvious thing to go, well, win early game, win game. Actually keeping very competitive on these objectives is definitely keeping these teams, even in spots where they lose games or it looks like they could lose games, they're actually going to be able to come ahead and win this one. We've seen this a few times from Fnatic in some of their games, and we've definitely seen it in Rogue when they've done 1 or 2 of their comebacks. Important to note, though. And Milky, that is everything from my meta recap report for the eLECtric recap.
Fantastic report coming through, MaskedSwan. Right. I want you to say it with me because there's a certain something coming up and through in 3, 2, 1. Hot or not?
Hot or not?
Look at this beautiful champion that we have here to behold. It's Aphelios. What do we think of it, MaskedSwan?
Aphelios has been in a really weird spot over the last few weeks. He hasn't been played as much as I was expecting him. He is seeing far more play internationally, Japan. And I'm actually really happy that we got to see him on the stage in Europe. He's hot at the moment. Aphelios is legitimate at the moment. He's got a few unique build paths. Play this boy.
Right. Coming up next then, seeing 2 games being picked up by the humanoid in the mid lane. Oh, it's the gorgeous Ari.
Yeah. Everyone likes Ari. Everyone likes to play Ari. She's in KDA. She's good singer.
Very
good singer. Yeah.
Is that where we leave this one?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to touch this one with a barge pole.
Okay. Next up, Yone mid.
Yone is the champion. Only bold statements on this channel. I would say that Yone is fine. He's fine at the meta. You can only fit him in very specific spots. It's typically when you're trying to counter or punish, typically a laner that is going to be pretty nullified and they're not going to be able to do much. I would also only pick it if you have a jungle that is going to be able to pressure and scale. Think of Lilia or Uria, where they're always going to be at least valuable. You want someone that can set up for Yone ults. These are champions are fine to do that. Yone mid's fine. I wouldn't say he's hot. I wouldn't say he's cold. If you're going to twist my arm, though, Milky, for it, I'm going to go cold. He doesn't work in every single spot. So, yeah, a little bit.
So I guess that means we're definitely going to be seeing Whippo locking it in the upcoming game. Right, then moving on to our final pick. And this one's a done deal. Karma.
I'm so happy. This is hot. This is always hot. It's so hot my hat fell off for the third time. Like, this is well and truly, like, I'm so happy this champion's seeing play. I know lots of other casters and analysts and everything go, oh, Karma. Right. The fact that Wonder played it, come on. You can't say that the best top laner in LEC plays it and then go, well, it's not good. No, it's really freaking good, ladies and gentlemen.
Wonder can play anything and make it work. It's G2.
That's the... Yeah, sure. And he could have played, well, I think he should have. No. Actually, no. I actually prefer Karma in the top lane over Seraphine. I wouldn't play Seraphine top. So yeah, Karma's great. You should play Karma, ladies and gentlemen. Karma is great, and Karma is not a bitch. She works perfectly for you. Please censor that out, Reed, by the way. Please censor that out. I want that to be a Karma's a Teemo or something stupid like that.
I'm sure we can have that arranged. Well, on that depressing note, and I never thought I'd say this, but I guess with the knowledge that Karma is a hot...
No, don't do it.
I got. Anyway, we're done. We're done for the week. That completes the eLECtric recap. We're gonna be back in next week to talk about how regular season came to an end. There'll be playoffs afterwards. Either way, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like the video here on the SQ1 League. We'll be back next week for more LEC action. Ciao, ciao.